Barring any unforeseen circumstances, the Caretaker/Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee of the All Progressives Congress is scheduled to meet this week to set up a committee that will determine the zoning of party offices ahead of its elective convention. The zoning committee, according to news reports, will be guided by equity and justice in determining the zoning of offices and will ensure that all regions and states in the country are fairly represented. Zoning aside, the APC will also have to manage members' expectations as it moves to inaugurate state executive chapters this week, effectively dashing the hopes of factions that had been challenging the outcomes of its state congresses held last year. Speculation is rife that should the party go ahead to inaugurate the state excos, a gale of defections would likely hit the ruling party. Just recently, the Lagos APC faction, led by Omo-Agege aka Jandor, defected to the People's Democratic Party amid fanfare. Now joining us from Abuja to discuss the zoning of offices and other matters related arising ahead of the National Convention of the APC is Dr. Otive Igbuzor, a member of the ruling party and aide to Deputy Senate President Ovie Omo-Agege. Welcome to the show, Dr. Igbuzor, and good morning.
Dr. Igbuzor, good morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning. Good to see you. Well, very quickly, let me ask you.
It's a pleasure.
When Tudun started, she talked about bearing unforeseen circumstances. Are you really confident that this process will go on without any hitch, considering the fact that the APC is divided right down the middle, particularly on the question of where the next president would come from?
I don't think that is correct to say that the APC is divided right in the middle. In every political party, there are always contestations. There are people with ambition from different parts of the country, and there are negotiations and discussions. But you will notice that since the Malabuni Committee was set up in June 2020, they've been systematic in trying to perform the key functions why it was set up. First, to reposition the party, and secondly, to ensure that there are emergence of new structures that are credible, relevant, and meet the wishes and aspirations of the people. And you know, as is usual with politics and politicking, there has been a lot of insinuation, discussions, and so forth. I mean, people even thought initially that the convention would not hold. But I'm sure you are following the developments. You've seen that the committee has been executing things systematically, one after the other. And I don't think that there is any reason to fear that things will not go as planned.
Right, but then there's still factions who are opposed to the February conventions. Have the reconciliation efforts stalled at this point?
Not at all. Reconciliation is going on. And even your introduction of saying that there is expectation of gale of defections because of the inauguration of the committees may not even come to pass, because the reconciliation committee is going, led by Senator Abdullahi Adamu, is going around the state. I even had the opportunity of being a part of the delegation of Delta State to discuss with the committee. So the committee is discussing with people. In many places, they are, reaching a compromise. They are certainly members of the party. And so this gale of defections may not happen in many of the places. And we always know that in issues like this, there will always be a discussion. But the party has a long history of experience in trying to bring different groups together. You recall that even when the party was formed in 2013, 2014, Many people even did not give it a chance, thought that the party would not go within 1 year. Some people said if it goes between 1 year, they should be called bastards. Others said they will leave the country. But the party has defied all of those negative predictions. And in particular, the Mai Mala Buni Committee, since it came on board, has been systematic in doing things. And if you see the plan for the convention, things will be done at the appropriate time, and it will be based on discussions, negotiations, and in the final analysis, they will take the decisions that will be in the best interest of the party. The experience with the committee in the last 2 years or so does not give the kind of predictions that people are giving. So we are confident that in the final analysis, we'll have a good convention. As a matter of fact, as all of these things are going on, you know, this committee is planning to have, if you like, the best convention that we can see from the political party. They are looking at the delegates, compiling the delegates list, and it will be published and made known to the public so that the process will be credible. We see how conventions are organized in other countries. We are looking into the possibility of policy convention where there will be keynote address, where you will look at what was the state of affairs when APC came into power in 2015. What were the promises and what were the challenges that he met? How has he been able to address these challenges in the past 7 years? And what are the present challenges? What should we be looking forward to? These are the key issues that, and we know, you know, one of the things we must be clear of is that political party organizing and elections to produce leaders across the world is a relatively new phenomenon. We started only in the 19th century. So what is happening across the world is development of the political process. And APC, as the ruling party in Nigeria and arguably the largest party in Africa, is looking at how it can contribute to this process. So, for instance, the committee is exploring the possibility of digitizing the membership so that what many political parties across the world, especially in Africa and particularly in Nigeria, where people do not have a credible membership register, we're trying to see how we will deal with all of those things. So there are a lot of things that are going on within the party that will give a good, credible, and rancor-free convention. And we are hopeful that given the track record of the committee, they will be able to do this. You know, Ruben, you know that in every political party there are different tendencies, there are different orientations, and there are different interests. And there are many people within the APC, which includes people like us, who insist that the philosophy of the party, which is social democracy, must be anchored on everything. So a national convention of a social democratic party should be able to be organized to bring out those issues that make the party unique, so that people who come to join the party will know that they are doing some form of ideological move from pure neoliberalism in the party they are before to a party of social democracy. And then if they are running under the platform of that party, it will affect the manifestos, it will affect the program, and subsequently, when they go into government, the type of policies they will implement will be ones that is anchored on the philosophy of social democracy. So that these ideas and arguments across Nigeria that political parties are run just as a platform for getting power and they are bereft of ideological positioning will be clearly eliminated from the political scene in Nigeria. Because from all the documents and processes of the APC, it is clear that it's anchored on social democracy. So internally, there are a lot of things going on to reposition the party.
If I may come in here, I get your point, but you also agree. You've been very optimistic, and you've been full of praises for the Reconciliation Committee. But this same APC Reconciliation Committee could not reconcile anybody in Kwara State, or in Osun State, or in Ogun State, or in Kano State. Okay? And even here in Lagos, there is tension.
I don't know where you got that information.
No, all of this is reported in the papers. All of this is well reported in the papers. So I'm not pulling it out of outer space.
But you know how the things work, Ruben, that something may be reported in the paper and the following day it is done behind the scene and things are arranged properly. We are expecting that from the timetable of the party that the committee will submit its report, today to the Convention Extraordinary Planning Committee. So I think we should see what the report is going to tell us before we can go to the conclusion. I'm sure, Ruben, you know that even 2 minutes to time, things can be resolved, behind the scenes. And every day, everywhere, people are discussing. They are intervening, even beyond the Reconciliation Committee. Before the Reconciliation Committee came, in some states, people are making the initiative to see how they will sort out these challenges. Because for many people within the APC, they have, sense of history, and they want to ensure that we don't go back to Egypt. And so a lot of things are going on. And I think that we should be optimistic and expectant that the Reconciliation Committee will do a lot of work. If by chance there are states where reconciliation has not been fully done, it's a continuous process. And we are hopeful that at the end, what will come out will be a repositioned party which will be able to deal better with the challenges. We know that across the world today, the challenges are very enormous, characterized by the volatility that we see in the system, the uncertainty that we see, the complexity of issues, the ambiguity that we see everywhere, the kind of diversity that requires certain kinds of management, and the disruptions that come from many places, including disruption from the volatile oil market, disruption from COVID-19. And all of this required adept management. And we cannot afford, if you look at it across the world, whenever there is a change of government, like there was a change of government from PDP 16 years to APC in 2015, it takes time for that new party to adjust, to understand the system more and begin to perform. Now that APC has reached the level of performance, having understand the systems better, it will be suicidal for Nigeria to go back to any other political party or a new one. So many people, both people who are partisan and people who are neutral, are looking at how things can be consolidated, how things can be better, so that the recurring challenges that face the country, increasing poverty, the challenge of unemployment, the youth bulge and how to deal with it, the challenges of security, which has remained intractable, which is normal in any country where you have terrorism, banditry, and kidnapping. So how do we deal more with these issues? I think this is what is, taking the consideration of many genuine and patriotic APC members. And I'm confident that we'll deal with these issues.
Well, we have just about 12 minutes or less to go. But I was going to ask you, is there an agreement within your party to zone the presidency to the south? Or isn't there such an agreement? Because zoning is what we've been discussing since morning. And we have had APC chieftains on this program, who said, look, there is a standing agreement, and it looks like some people within the party want to, torpedo that, want to change it. Are you aware of any standing agreement by the leaders of the party that for 2023, the flag bearer at the presidential level will come from the South?
Well, there are a lot of discussions that have been going on. As a matter of fact, since the 2019 election, there have been various discussions, interests, and things like that. We know that in this country, since return to civil rule in 1999, this idea of rotation between the North and South has been a major discourse across the country. As it is today, there is no decision in the APC on zoning. A zoning committee will be put in place to zone the positions. For some of us, we have our own positions, we have our preferences, but we are hoping and looking forward that the party, because of what he has done in the past, will do what is right and what is correct, what is equitable, what is fair and what is just, and bring a zoning system that will meet the wishes and aspirations of not only party members, but of Nigerians. So we are very sure. It's just a few days. It will come out, and then we'll be able to come back again to say, okay, APC has done the right thing, or it has not done the right thing. And then, but I'm very confident that they will do what is just, what is equitable, what is fair.
Has INEC been notified that APC's convention is to hold on February 26th, as the law dictates? I mean, you haven't reached your deadline. It has to be told to INEC by February 5th, if my math is correct. Section 85 of the Electoral Act, you need to give INEC 21 days. Because according to reports, INEC has not been notified. Does this mean that that February 26th date is not yet confirmed?
Well, if you see even the activities for the convention, you will notice that there were timelines indicated to it, both in accordance with the constitution of the party and in accordance with the constitution of the country. Like you noted, it's not late here. I don't work in the secretariat, so I don't know whether the letter has been sent or not, but I'm sure since the decision has been taken, and when decisions are taken, they are meant to be implemented. I'm confident that the Malabuni committee will do the needful and send the letter at the appropriate time so that the convention, because the convention has been fixed. Initially people were saying that it will not hold, that they are going to postpone it. But they came and, reaffirmed that date. And I don't see any reason why the letter should not be sent at the appropriate time.
Well, quickly, Otive, let's talk about the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. There's a story in one of the papers today indicating that APC governors are opposed to two provisions in the re-amended Electoral Bill. And basically, one, the clause indicating, we're told, that political office holders who would want to take part in party primaries will have to resign before they take part in party primaries. And that, the governors and some other stakeholders are opposed to that. And then secondly, that definition of how a consensus candidate may emerge. And the newspaper, story indicated that perhaps you have a situation whereby APC governors will lobby the president this time around not to give assent to the further amendments that have been done to the electoral bill. But in general, what do you think about this framework that we need for that election?
I think that if you look at the Electoral Amendment Bill, it's very, very comprehensive. It is actually really unfortunate that we have left those very good and provisions of the law that are meant to address long-time challenges that we are facing in the electoral process and focus more on politicization of some of the amendment. I've not read that a report, but if governors have a position, they are free. Everybody can have their own position. But the president made it clear that the only thing that he had against the previous Electoral Act is the compulsory nature of direct primaries, which he gave the reasons, which in my view were very cogent on why he did not sign. Having done that and sent it back to the president, my expectation is that he will sign the amended bill. So for me, you know, I've not read those reports. There are issues. If they raise issues, then the issues have to be looked at. But I think that we have an electoral amended bill which has addressed many of the issues. One of the key issues the thing has addressed, which people are not talking about, is the, you know, making card rigger legal. We know what that did in 2015 and 2019 elections, that people could not, in some electoral cases, that it was quite obvious that there was overvoting because the number of votes were more than the accredited voters by the card reader, but because the card reader were not legal, they were not taken. All of those have been addressed by the Electoral Act. And my view will be, look, quickly, that we should do everything possible for that Electoral Act to be signed as quickly as possible, so that the government can, I mean, the relevant stakeholders, INEC, security agencies, political parties, civil society organizations, can do the needful in terms of the new kinds of voter education that will be done, and the new guidelines that will be issued by INEC, the new security measures that will be put in place, and for the security agencies to know what is legal and illegal in the new law, so that we'll have a better elections in 2023. Recall that the trajectory of the electoral process in Nigeria has been such that there was a degenerating outcome of elections from the first elections in 1923 up to 2007, with 2007 being described as the worst kind of election that many people call direct capture of the people's mandate. But with the electoral reforms that was put in place by INEC, we saw that there was improvement in the 2011 elections, and improvement in 2015 and 2019 elections. These, what most of the things contained in the Electoral Amendment Bill 2021 are meant to further improve the electoral process. And I think that all stakeholders should not look at laws or bills with how it affects them personally, but should look at it with how it contributes to improvement of the electoral process, so that in the final analysis, because if you get elections wrong, you get political leadership wrong, and you get, you know, service delivery and development wrong. So I think that everything should be done, even if there are disagreements, they should be sorted out quickly, so that there will be a new law, and then the electoral process will improve.
Thank you so much, Dr. Igbuzor, for your time this morning.